Where are you from? Where did you grow up? Most people have simple answers to this: a hometown they grew up in, a house they associate childhood with, maybe the same house they still return to on Thanksgiving and Christmas each year. So there is one reason, and one reason only, that Albie agreed to come here. Personally, I never knew how to answer this question. When I first came to San Francisco, I hated it. I was a bitter 12-year-old who resented my mom for dragging me 3,000 miles away from the only friends in life I'd ever known.
They're pretty big.
California was foreign to me. Dusty hills and dry heat, new subjects at school, strange kids who were worlds apart from my classmates back east. But slowly, without me ever really noticing, it grew on me.
Cheers! Albie's on his way to come meet me, and then we're gonna go to Terminal Market, do a little food tour. Feels really weird to be back here.
Since most of my childhood in the city was painted by field trips to museums and historical sites, Albie and I focused our weekend on the things that I didn't experience as a kid, like trying different foods at the Reading Terminal Market. We started with Miller's Pretzels, a local, more buttery version of Auntie Anne's, then tried our luck at the New Georgian section. Yes, the country, not the state.
Really fucking hot.
Which served traditional khachapuri, a breaded cheese boat topped with a raw egg and eaten by hand. Next up was a pastrami sandwich from Hershel's Eastside Deli, and finally, we taste tested a few donuts from Beiler's, which is actually owned by a local Amish family. More on that later. We stopped by a cafe after for a little pick-me-up, and if I hadn't already been so full, I would have swooped on all of these character cakes and macarons. There was a bit of time to kill before dinner, so we decided to check out a bookstore in Old City. I don't think I've ever felt so lost in a sea of books before. It almost felt like I was searching for something in the room of requirement.
This is it. Found the mother lode.
It was a little overwhelming navigating the aisles and finding the sections I was interested in, and we didn't end up buying anything despite a few temptations. It was almost time to head back to the city center, so we took a quick lap around the pier and went to meet Diane and Jason at Harp Crown. The thing I can guarantee you I never experienced as a kid was taking Tito shots with picklebacks.
This is the best way to chase a shot. Pickle juice.
It's just like a chaser, right?
Alright, let's do it.
Hey, this is actually a vegetable.
So we're currently in the car eating a Popeye's chicken sandwich in Lancaster. Oh my gosh, so good. If you're wondering what brings us here, you're about to find out.
Pennsylvania is known for a few things: impassioned sports fans, massive hoagies, a few key slices of American history, and of course, the Amish. On our second day, we drove to Lancaster for a tour of the area, and our guide drove us around to different farms while telling us about Amish life and their relationship with the English, aka people like you and me. They later brought us to a staged model home, and we were free to explore a farm after. The one thing that struck me the most was how tight-knit their community was. They take turns hosting church at their homes and invite the entire town to weddings. They use kick scooters instead of battery-powered, so you're encouraged not to stray far from family. And when they're 18, they have the option to either be baptized and formally enter the Amish church, or they can choose to leave and become an Englishman. Most people choose to stay, even though it means a life different from the rest of the world, because it's a life that's familiar to them. For most of the Amish, the idea of driving a car, using electricity, or accessing the internet isn't worth losing their community over, or the place they've grown to call home. We went back to the old pizza shop that my mom used to take me when I was a kid. Their garlic knots were one of my favorite treats, and it was a way for a single mom and a kid to bond after a long day of work and after school care. But even though they were still in business after nearly 20 years, I didn't recognize the people who worked there. They didn't recognize me. I was just another customer coming in for takeout. Horsham is a small town. It never had much going for it other than a few quality schools, which is why we moved here years ago. Now there's a boba shop, a few more Asian restaurants, but not much has really changed. And yet everything feels so different. It no longer feels like home. It's no longer a place I identify with. Being back here after nearly 20 years away made me realize that I don't belong here anymore. That's not to say that I don't still feel an attachment to the East Coast. I still associate summer with humidity and Christmas with snow. I prefer straightforward attitudes to nice pleasantries, and I like how little you need to drive before you end up in an entirely different state. But home to me is California. And it's not because I identify as a Californian or I've come to like the West Coast better. It's because that's where my mom is. It's where Albie's family is. It's where I can relax and be myself. It's where the friendships that have lasted into adulthood started and bloomed into family. And if those things change one day, then so will the place I call home. I remember my first day of first grade, my mom wasn't sure if I'd be able to buy lunch in the cafeteria, so she packed me PB&J because that was the only thing she knew how to make. And then once I figured it out, my second day of school, she gave me lunch money in my account, and I bought lunch in this cafeteria every single day for 5 years. And nothing has changed. It's exactly the same layout. I used to buy food right over there, that little counter. I still remember my code that I would have to put in. This is the part of the cafeteria that was after school daycare, and I would sit here waiting for my mom to come pick me up. This was our massive blacktop and playground, and it's crazy because that used to be a cornfield back there, and now they've paved it all and put a building. Wild. We used to have these tournaments down here. I forget what it's called. It's not like kickball, but there would be a ring and we'd all be throwing balls at each other. I forget the name for it, but it was fun. I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna cry right now. There's just something so poignant about revisiting the places you were when you were a kid. I think because it just reminds you of how much you've changed. And you know, you see these places that you thought were so massive when you were little, and now they look small to you because you've grown up. It makes me think about how different my life would have been had we never moved to California when I was a teenager. What kind of person would I be if I had stayed here? I don't know.